We are across the great state of Iowa and the Midwest, ladies and gentlemen. You know the number one interview is always on this show. We'll be talking to the Vice President of the United States later this week. But right now, perhaps the most prophetic man in Washington, D.C., who has a brand new book out. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the Simon Conway Show, Senator Ted Cruz. How are you, sir?
Simon, my friend, great to be with you, and congratulations on just getting married. Fantastic news.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I genuinely do. It's yes, we're very happy. We really are. I just said you're the most prophetic man in Washington, D.C. because you've got a book about to come out called One Vote Away, How a Single Supreme Court Seat Can Change History. So, first of all, I need to know if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win the Super Bowl, and then we'll get on to the rest of it.
Well, I don't know about that, but I can tell you it's there's no doubt this fight over the Supreme Court is historic in its importance. I wrote the book this spring and summer while we were in the midst of COVID lockdown, and so I was working from home from my living room and pulled out the laptop and started writing it. And I knew that we would be obviously having an election in November, and the stakes would be incredibly high. And I think the Supreme Court is right at the top of what the election is all about. I didn't know that we would be quite literally in the midst of a confirmation battle that is pivotal, and that is, of course, where we are. I think President Trump's naming Judge Barrett may well be the single most important decision he's made as president, and it has enormous consequence for the constitutional rights of all of us.
It does. You know, I remember 4 years ago pointing out that, in my opinion, the Supreme Court was the reason to go to the polls 4 years ago. Yep. It was the most important reason to go. And I was getting calls from my audience saying, how do we know that then candidate Donald Trump is going to keep his word and pick the justices from the list? And I said, well, we don't, but we know exactly what Hillary Clinton's going to do. So maybe that's the way we go. And now, of course, the president has done exactly what he said. He's even issued a new list, which he added your name to. We're going to talk about that in a minute as well. But he's issued a new list, and I think if we re-elect him and another opportunity arises, we can trust that the next justice will come from that list.
I think that is exactly right, and the consequences to our lives are enormous. You know, in the book, One Vote Away, before I was in the Senate, I was a Supreme Court litigator. What I did for a living is argue cases in front of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yep.
And so the book, One Vote Away, each chapter focuses on a different constitutional liberty. So there's a chapter on free speech. There's a chapter on religious liberty. There's a chapter on the Second Amendment. There's a chapter on U.S. sovereignty. There's a chapter on elections and democracy and Bush versus Gore, and we could easily see another contested election just like that one. And in each of the chapters, what the book does is give you the inside war stories of what really was going on. For many of these big landmark cases, I helped litigate the cases, and so I try to take the reader behind the curtain to know the justices personally, to understand what's going on at the court. And what really is striking, Simon, is that on virtually every one of these big landmark cases, they're decided 5-4, just a single vote away from our losing our religious liberty, losing our free speech, losing our Second Amendment rights. And the book is designed to help people understand just how fragile and precarious they are right now.
Right. I mean, because you've had a lot of personal experience in front of that court and how important it is. You know, sometimes I get called to task by my audience, and we're happy for that to happen, when they say, well, you know, just because the Supreme Court said so, it doesn't make it law. What's supposed to happen is now it's supposed to go back before Congress, and they're supposed to write a law in line with what the Supreme Court said. But we like to live in the real world, and in the real world, what the Supreme Court says does have the effectiveness of being law, right?
There's no doubt that it has an enormous impact, in particular on how the government behaves. And so, for example, in the chapter on religious liberty, I talk about a case I litigated before the court, Van Orden versus Parrott, which was defending the Ten Commandments monument on the state capitol grounds in Texas. It's been there since 1961. And actually, the origins of the monument are fascinating. They go back to the 1950s, and Cecil B. DeMille, the movie maker who put a bunch of Hollywood glamour behind dedicating Ten Commandments monuments all over the country. Well, what happened in Texas, as has happened all over the country, is an atheist, a homeless man, filed a lawsuit seeking to tear down the Ten Commandments monument. We took it all the way to the Supreme Court, and we won 5-4. But there were 4 justices prepared to order the state of Texas to bulldoze the monument, to tear it down. Same thing happened with the Mojave Desert Veterans Memorial, a lone white Latin cross erected to honor the men and women who gave their lives in World War I. The ACLU sued, arguing you can't have the image of a cross on public land. They won in district court. They won in the Court of Appeals. I represented 3 million veterans pro bono for free defending that monument, and we won again 5-4. But these assaults on our religious liberty, the assaults on Hobby Lobby, the assaults on the Little Sisters of the Poor, they keep coming, and we are just one vote away from the court giving the federal government and the state governments the green light to persecute religious freedom, to persecute free speech.
Yeah, we've had a case here. Similarly, it is really important. Next time you're in Iowa, make sure you go visit the Welcome Home Soldier Memorial. Trust me, you will thank me for that one. But I ended up, you know, I'm Jewish, and part of this memorial that they've created are some crosses with the names of fallen sons of Little Albia, Iowa. And we doubled the population one day. We held a rally there, and this Jew was out there defending the cross because it is ridiculous what we are having to face in our country, and that's not even on public land. Their argument was, well, the land was deeded to this private organization, therefore it has the same effect as being on public land, and we said no, and we won so far. But who knows when they're coming again, and these 5-4 decisions are really important. Okay, so...
Well, and I'll tell you the hypocrisy of it, Simon. So when we were in the Supreme Court courtroom to defend the Ten Commandments monument, do you know how many times the image of the Ten Commandments appears in the courtroom of the Supreme Court?
I do not, but I'm going to enjoy you telling me.
43 times. It appears twice carved into the wooden doors as you walk out of the courtroom. It appears 40 times on the bronze gates along the sides of the courtroom. And then up top, to the left of the justices, there is a frieze carved into the stone of great lawgivers, and there is Moses holding the Ten Commandments, with the Ten Commandments still written in Hebrew and legible, looking down upon them. And despite that, there were 4 justices prepared to essentially order, bring out the chisels, you can't look at the Ten Commandments on public land. It's extreme, it's radical, it's contrary to the Constitution. And if Joe Biden is appointing Supreme Court justices, it's where we're headed.
How fast do you think Judge Barrett will be confirmed?
So we're going to start the hearings on October 12th. It'll start with the first day will be opening statements. The second day will be rounds of questioning. Each senator will get 30 minutes. It'll alternate Republican-Democrat, Republican-Democrat. The next day will be 20-minute rounds of questioning. Then we'll have a panel of third parties, and I expect that we will confirm Judge Barrett by the end of October, that we will do so before Election Day. And let me give a shout-out to the great state of Iowa. There are only 2 states that have 2 senators on the Judiciary Committee, Iowa and Texas. And so both Chuck Grassley and Joni Ernst serve on Judiciary with me, and both Chuck and Joni have been and will be strong leaders, and I believe we're going to get this done, and we're going to honor the promise we made to the American people to confirm strong constitutionalists to the court.
That's good news. There are a lot of people, I assure you, standing up and applauding what you just said, and hoping that your prophecy continues to be accurate, and that we do get Judge Barrett confirmed by the end of October. So what happens then if Biden wins? There's pressure building for him to stack the court. He's not going to do it, is he, if he becomes president?
I think they will try, and I think there's a very good possibility they would do so. If we wake up in January and Biden, Pelosi, and Schumer are in charge of the federal government, the first thing Schumer will do is end the filibuster in the Senate. And I think they will get the votes of every Democrat. What that means when they end the filibuster is that the minority no longer has the ability to stop them, that they have the ability to just drive their freight train forward. I think one of the first things they will do also is add 2 additional states, the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico. The only reason they're doing that is because they believe that will elect 4 new Democratic senators, and they want to entrench their power. And then I fully expect them to fight to, and I think there's a good possibility they'll have the votes to, pack the court to increase the number from 9 either to 11 or to 13, which would politicize the court forever. And I think that's where the FDR tried to do it, another Democratic president, and his own party resisted him. I don't think today's Democrats would effectively resist them.
I got about a minute and a half left. Are you telling me, seriously telling me, they haven't learnt their lesson? The reason that President Trump has been able to put 2 justices on the Supreme Court and potentially a third by the end of October is Harry Reid. Haven't they learnt their lesson? Harry Reid made judge appointments 51. So you would think they'd look at that and say, well, we're not doing that again because one day the Republicans might be in charge.
You would think so, but I think where they are, the extreme left, the radicals are in charge. The people who are driving the Democratic Party are Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and AOC, and they're angry. They're filled with rage. They hate President Trump. They were already enraged before this vacancy, and I think once the vacancy happened, to borrow a line from Spinal Tap, now it goes to 11. That they are out of their minds with fury.
Well, if we're quoting Spinal Tap, we're now done. Thank you very much. Senator Ted Cruz, always a pleasure. The new book is out, One Vote Away. You should go get it. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We must get you back much quicker next time. You take care, sir.